So I'm gonna just start with the acknowledgement for the beginning. So before we start, we'd like to acknowledge that we are on unceded Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, and Musqueam territories. For those who do not know, unceded territory is territory First Nations people who never ceded or legally signed away to the Crown or to Canada. We give our heartfelt thanks to them for allowing us to meet and learn together on their territory. And then, I just want everybody to know that this is a safe space. And we want this to be a safe space throughout all the discussions taking part today. So we have no tolerance whatsoever for any hate of any kind. If anyone engages in hate comments and things like that, they will be promptly kicked out and will not be allowed back in to attend any other panel for the Infusion event. If you notice someone engaging in this behavior, please do not engage with this person. Please let us know by DMing us over social media with the word flag. One of our team members will be online in the background to ensure this does not happen. But if so, they will take action and take steps moving forward to kick the person off. And we thank you for your understanding and cooperation. So I just wanted to get that out of the way so everybody knows. And we are live now. So I'm gonna start with the first question. I'll keep it super simple in the beginning. And so we all have things that we do or need for the creativity ball to start rolling. I personally need to be sleep deprived for me to have my best content out there. And it was very helpful for university to have that trait. But is there anything that is a must for you during your process? And how has your process changed from when you first started until now? Anybody can go.
Okay, so one thing that I really need is coffee, 100%,
Yes.
all that caffeine. Another thing that I didn't used to do when I first started writing was I listened to music, usually instrumental. I really love Raylan's music as well, and it helps put me in the mood. So that really gets especially environmental music, that kind of gets you in that environment. It really helps for me to boost my creativity.
Okay, that's great. I feel like music is a huge part in a lot of people's creative outlet kind of thing. Like I use music when I'm trying to stop my thinking process for other stuff and focus. So I feel like, yeah, music's great. Anybody else?
So I always, for every new project, I always need to get a new notebook. And it feels like an excuse to get a new notebook, but I do need a new notebook.
Yes.
For every single time I start a new project, because every project gets its own notebook and all of the ideas for that project go into that notebook. It's the only way I've found really that helps me actually separate all of the different ideas into the different projects, because otherwise it gets completely muddled.
Yeah. Does anybody else have a love for stationery as much as I do? I think it's a little unhealthy how much I love notebooks and stationery.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else?
For me personally, my writing process has changed a lot when I was younger. So I write epic fantasy. I used to just spend years planning out every single facet of the world, and I would take literally years, not even months, before I would start writing. But now I'm sort of, the way I start is I start with an idea for a character. So whether that's a single scene they're in, or a trait, or a situation which I find interesting, and I always ask myself who are they, how did they get there, why are they like this, and the most important I think is what do they want, and what are they doing, what are they willing to do to get it. And for that's what I use to spark ideas off. So for me it always starts with this core character, and then I build everything else around them.
Okay. So do you find that harder to do when you have a bunch of characters and they're all in-depth characters, to like try to find the balance between everything and have them all come together as one?
I think like I would focus on the POV character, like the main character, and the other ones will all split off there, and then I can ask sort of the same questions from there. But I think for like my initial like process of starting, that for me is like really helpful now, and also to tell myself that first drafts don't need to be perfect.
Yes,
like
I
key.
feel so many people forget, and like the first draft is where people sometimes can get nitpicky and they're like, oh, it doesn't sound good, this and that, and I'm like, first draft is your first draft. Like, how many drafts does it normally take you guys?
Oh, like 5, 6 at least.
Yeah, right. So there's so much room to grow and things like that. It kind of goes with one of my other questions on how to express yourself, but we'll get into that later. But yeah, no, I think that's a great process to have when you're trying to get like started, and the process is nice. Anybody else?
So could you repeat the original question? I get really like distracted by folks' answers.
Of course.
I don't know what we're talking about. I'm sorry.
Okay, so the question was, we all have things that we need to do to get the creativity ball rolling. Is there anything that is a must for you during your process? And then how has your process changed from when you first started until now?
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I write fiction. And I'm also a mom. So a lot of the times my process is, if my kid is not with me, I will write. And whatever kind of like strikes, like whatever inspiration kind of comes at me, I'll just like write it down in like my iPhone, honestly, like my iPhone notes, and be like, oh, this idea. And then when I get the time to write, I'll sit down and like work on it. So that's how the process has been. But I was pregnant. Actually, no, I was not pregnant when I first started writing Saltwater Spirits. So that was totally different. I was able to like meditate, do yoga, like do all these things to like get myself in the mood. And now it's just like, just write, girl. just do the dance.
Yeah, no, I can't relate with you. I don't have kids. I don't know how difficult it is to be a writer and to take care of another life at the same time. But I can imagine how difficult that could be. Dina, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I'm kind of like Frances and Syahidah, where I want everything to be perfect. And like when I start on a project, it's like really daunting because I know it's going to be like, I have to do this big thing. So I find that just starting is the hardest part. And so whenever I'm about to start something, I always say to myself, something is better than nothing. Just do it. Just do something. And then like you can like make, like I'm a calligrapher. So I would like do drafts and then like make the final version. Or if I'm like working on, I don't know, like my website or a blog or like some social media, then I just do something, and then you can always go back and like edit later.
Yeah, no, that's great. Do you ever feel like because you're like more of a perfectionist, or like you want things to be good, that you can get overwhelmed easily?
Yeah. Yeah. I think so.
Yeah, no, I think those are all great answers. Anybody want to add anything else?
Does anybody else write at a certain time of day?
Yes.
Oh, really?
Who is night owls? He stays up all night.
Morning.
I don't know how people write in the morning. I cannot. I have tried so many times.
I have to write in the morning because that's when I have childcare support. So I have pulled those nights where I'm like, I'm addicted to this story, and like, what happens next? And then I have to wake up at like 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. the next day because my kid wakes up early. He's really young still. So then I get paid for it. Yeah.
What was that?
I said I've written until then, until 6 or 7.
Oh, no, okay. So definitely we got like 50-50, like night owls and like the morning risers.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel like because you spent all night writing that you're tired the next day? Or like you're kind of like drained?
It's not every single night. I can't do that every single night,
No.
obviously. But prime time for me is probably anywhere from like 10 o'clock to like 2 or 3. Usually like every day during those times I'm at least trying to write. It's not always successful, but yeah, that's pretty prime time. If I'm like really in the zone or really in the deadlines, like the other night I had to finish something I was working on, and I was up until probably like 5 or 6. Those are pretty rare though. But yeah, definitely at night. And it's just, I don't know, my body's natural like cycle is at that time too. So yes, I'm tired right now though. With COVID, my job has been having me work stranger hours, so it's easier right now than it might be before, because yes, I do get tired, but I just it's probably not super healthy, but
if it works for you, it works for you. Yeah. Is that everything? Anybody want to add?
I think the most important thing to remember is you can't edit what you don't have down. So I really like that.
Yeah, for sure. And I think like with the whole like first draft stuff and like getting all your ideas, I don't know about you guys, but a lot of times for me it's like word vomit, or like if I'm painting or drawing, it starts really abstract. I don't know what I'm doing. It's just like everything is on the page, because I'm a very like, my mind is very like frazzled in the sense of I have so many ideas going on. Like I need to put it on a paper because I have the worst memory. I will forget things. Like I will wake up and have this amazing idea that I think is going to change the world, and by the time I'm done brushing my teeth, I've forgotten it. So yeah, I know I always have to put it down on paper or do something about it just so I don't forget. Yeah,
I'm the same. I have like a million OneNote notebooks. I've moved on to OneNote now, and I've put everything down because I'll just forget it instantly.
Yeah, no, for sure. Okay, is that everything? There's no, we got plenty of time. I was told to wrap this up by 11:45, and I'm like, we're 8 minutes in. All right, so let's hop on to the next question. So we're all in the creative industry. So being in an industry where we are always needing to come up with new ideas, new characters, new art, new creations, it can be difficult. How do you deal with having to meet deadlines while struggling to find inspiration or having writer's block?
I can go first, I guess, since
Yeah.
I recently had some deadlines. Deadlines fuel me.
Okay.
They really they help me. I know it's not true for everybody, but I think part of it is that my degrees are in music performance. So those obviously it's not the same as like other creative deadlines, but you have a date for a performance or a concert or something like that. And it doesn't matter how you're feeling. It doesn't matter what's going on. And not saying that stuff doesn't affect other people or that it shouldn't matter, but you just have to kind of learn to just push through and deal with it. And I like setting self-imposed deadlines. Those don't always work, but it does help. Usually they're tied into other things. Like right now, I have a novel that has to be with my editor by October 1st. So the fact that somebody else is waiting on it too really helps me. But yeah, for me, that's kind of, it feeds me. It makes me do things.
Okay. No, that's great.
Yeah. I also thrive very heavily on deadlines, but I write mostly longer series. So I'm currently working on story ideas I had like a few years back. So I try to always stay kind of ahead of everything. So I don't have to worry too much about hitting that inevitable writer's block, or when I do hit that writer's block, I have time to kind of fully process and deal with it. Because right now I'm wrapping up stuff for the stuff that's coming out this year, and I'm also working on the rewrites for everything that's coming out next year. So I'm kind of ahead.
Okay.
And then like when I hit writer's block, I've got various other stuff that I do with that. I don't remember if that was part of the question though. So.
Oh yeah, writer's block was the part of the question. It doesn't, the questions are guidelines. You can talk about whatever you want.
No, I've recently, so one of the things that I always do whenever I hit writer's block is I usually, there's the two types. There's the I'm super stressed and I just literally can't get anything done writer's block, which is very different than the I kind of just want to do something else writer's block. So everything is due and I am in a mild panic mode. I have not come up with a good thing for that one yet, but the other type, I've started doing like zines and doing these kind of smaller projects so that it's a small project that I can complete on a timeline.
Okay.
Like a very short timeline. And then once that's done, I can usually kind of reset back into the creative process of what I was doing beforehand.
All right.
Yeah.
So the smaller projects are like side projects or like things you just do because you want to do something else?
Yeah, I just, every once in a while, hang on, I've got stuff in arm's reach. So
Perfect.
I did like these little zines that are just like a bunch of ideas that I had that just were not working. So I threw them all into a zine, and that was like a whole project that I managed to finish in a couple days, and that kind of reset me back to where I needed to be to continue working.
That's really cute. Yeah. Oh, okay. Anybody else about writer's block and trying to meet deadlines?
I think for me personally, getting over writer's block was like to develop a writing routine. So getting into the habit of writing on either a weekly or daily, whatever basis to combat it. So, because I think like writing would just waiting until you feel creative puts too much pressure on yourself and probably send you like spiraling. So I like to approach it like bite-sized chunks. So just like, what do I need to do today? So this one chapter or this one scene or this one edit. So it makes it less of like a big, huge, scary thing and more of a manageable little monster instead of a massive monster.
Yes, for sure.
And I think if you have it really bad writer's block, I think taking yourself away from it just for a bit, even just, you know, having a walk, watching something else, even reading something else, kind of get inspiration going again.
I don't know if you guys find this, but like I find that work expands to however much time you have. So like if I have a deadline or if someone else imposed a deadline on me, and I really agree, I think those are like the best deadlines when it's like someone else tells you this is like the deadline. Like I find that even if, let's say I'm super busy that week and I only have like this much time, but when really I wanted this much time to work on the project, I find that I can still finish the work when I have like this much time. And I did this recently, like right now I'm creating an online calligraphy course and I'm drip feeding the modules. So my deadline is Monday every single week, the new module has to go out. So I have to like record the videos, like make some PowerPoints and do some prep work. And this weekend, I planned some things with my friends. So I'm like doing something after this. And then tomorrow I'm like doing something. And usually the weekend is when I record stuff and like work on the course modules. So yesterday I actually finished everything in 3 hours when normally it takes me like 2 days.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, I think like we can, like we're just as creatives, we can be, if we have a lot of time, we are going to take up that time. But when we're pressed for time, then we can also be super flexible. And I think that's like super cool.
I think for me, it really depends because Saltwater Spirits was a self-published endeavor. And so that was its own little thing. Like it was my first novel. I had chosen to self-publish it. And I think as an author who chooses to self-publish, you have to, and correct me if I'm wrong, Tanya, I think you also have experience in self-publishing. Yeah, and so it's like you kind of have to be really motivated by yourself. So I really had to like give deadlines for myself, and that kind of works for me because I'm a highly motivated person just for myself. I actually don't like it when somebody gives me a deadline. I'm one of those people where it's like if someone tells me to do something, I'll be like, no, I don't want to do that. Like I'll do exactly the opposite. So as with my novel being self-published, it helped that I was able to set my own deadlines. And it also helps because it kind of fits with my lifestyle. It's like a mother to a toddler. It helps that like I'm able to juggle my life and my work life. So
okay. Do you ever feel like, because you guys are trying to like self-motivate and things like that, procrastination can be an issue?
it's a huge issue. For me, it's not procrastination as much as I'm just tired all the time.
Yeah.
And that's just because I have a young person who's dependent on me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, do any of you guys struggle with procrastination when it comes to like deadlines and procrastination, where you're just like, I know this is due, and you're like, I'm gonna relax and wait till the last minute.
The other night, yeah.
Yeah? What happened the other night?
Well, I had to get this out to beta readers, and it wasn't done. So I still don't want to do it, but it had to be done.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I think I had the time. I just had not really been in the mindset. It was like it's hard to know for me sometimes if it's procrastination or writer's block, because they kind of, I don't like the term writer's block. I'm sorry if that offends anybody, but I don't really think it's a thing so much as like a mindset. Like it does happen to me, and it's recently happened to me. So I'm not saying that it's not like in existence for people who, you know, like we all know them, people who claim to be writers, but they're like, oh, I haven't written anything in years because I'm in writer's block. And I'm like, okay, you're not writing, so you're not, you know, like that's kind of what I was talking about. But yeah, procrastination is a thing for sure. Because you're like, oh, this YouTube video looks really, really much more appealing than the story I'm supposed to write and get to other people so they can read it for me.
Anybody else?
I really agree with Raylin about the writer's block thing. I am my own worst enemy, and I definitely think that deadlines are the bane of my existence. Yeah, I'm not good with deadlines. I just started a project where deadlines are going to be very important, so we'll see how that goes. A lot of people are depending on me, so I think that is a big motivator. But I also agree with Francis that we need to, or at least I need to do things to help motivate me, like take a walk, take a shower, do something that gets the inspiration flowing again. And yeah, because if I force myself to write, I don't like it. It doesn't work. Yeah, I can't force myself to write. It has to happen when it happens.
Yeah, that's kind of what I struggled with too the other night for sure, because so I said I stayed up all night writing, and it is true, but it was also kind of not true, because I reached a point where I had to be done. I was so close to being done. I could see that I was almost done, but I felt that everything that I was putting out was complete garbage. And I knew I could do, maybe not garbage, but I knew I could do better. And to me, that's the worst feeling. Like you're writing something, but as you're writing it, you know you can do better. And I know that that's even part of the first draft and everything like that. But that's such a bad, terrible feeling.
It is. It really is. It's exactly how I feel sometimes.
So how are you guys with like being self-critical and like having to like be like, I need to hand this in, but I don't feel confident in it? Is that be like, well, I'm just gonna hand it in anyways, or you're just gonna be like, I need more time, like I can't put this out there?
I'm a need more time person because I really want to do the best that I can. And I know it's always a process of editing, but I feel like the more effort I put in now, the less I'll have to do later. And that's just me being a little lazy there. But I really like trying to get it perfect the first time, so I don't have to, because my biggest fear is having to rewrite the whole novel from step one.
Don't be scared. Don't be.
Every
No,
single one.
it's gonna happen. Especially, I felt the exact same way. It happened to me, and I'm so glad I did. Like, I'm so glad. But you know, I know the fear, but also don't be scared.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
if it happens, you probably won't regret it.
Okay.
I've generally taken it as your first draft is written for you to enjoy the story, and then everything after that is kind of redoing it so that other people will also enjoy it.
Okay, that's a good mentality to have.
I really
So,
like that. The
yeah.
first
So
draft is
that
for
way,
yourself.
yeah. So that way, if it's like, this sounds like it could be stupid, but it could be really, really fun. You just put it down, know that like, this version's for you. It's fine. You can do whatever you want. You can make it overly dramatic. You can just have constant explosions and all of the crazy stuff you want in the first version. And then after it's all done, you can go back and be like, I don't know if other people are going to like this. So let's start making some changes.
Yeah, I find it's hard because I feel like whenever I'm doing calligraphy, like, and like, let's say a client orders something from me,
Yeah.
I'm always like scared of what other calligraphers will think of me rather than the client. So rather than the audience, I don't know if you guys find that like, but yeah, I'm always like, and I eventually like post whatever I make on like social media as like my portfolio. So I'm kind of like, oh my gosh, like better calligraphers will be like, Dina, why did you do it like that? Why is the calligraphy like that? But I think like if I'm doing client work, I really have to focus on like the audience and what my audience will think rather than what other calligraphers or creatives will think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that
I
was
forget
like
what
one. Oh, continue.
Oh, I was sorry. I forget what your original question was, but I think like, what are people like?
I
What
can
other
repeat it.
people think? Yeah.
Oh, I was just saying how let's see.
I know my answer, so if people don't need to repeat the question, that's okay. But
How do you deal with meeting deadlines and struggling to find writer's block?
yeah, I think the topic had kind of deviated to like what other people would think of it, and that was more of what my answer was going to be, but it's okay. So for me, it does help, like especially if I'm scared of what strangers are going to think of a certain things. I've surrounded myself with a pretty close circle of people that I really trust. So if I have something that I'm like really, really unsure about, if it's really bad and I send it to them, they're going to tell me, and like I trust their opinions, I trust their expertise, I trust everything about them. So I'm much more comfortable. I will send anything that I have ever made to them because I just trust them that much. And I know they're not going to laugh at me. I know that they're not going to, you know, like even if it's something wildly problematic, which I would never try to write in the first place, but they would tell me. And they wouldn't think me a bad person or anything like that. So that has also really helped if you have any way of like surrounding yourself with other, they don't even have to be professionals, but just people that, you know, are in the same boat as you and who maybe are even friends that, you know, we started off as partners, but now we're all very close and we talk way more than we probably should.
I will say something about writer's block. I feel like I agree with Raylan. As in, I don't really think that writer's block is writer's block. It's usually, for me at least, a sign that I need to rest. And that my brain needs to reboot and that it needs to get more inspiration for the next bit of writing that I'm doing. So when I stop looking at it as like, okay, I'm gonna force these words to like work, and then I realize I don't know how to make words work, and then I'm just at my desk like banging my head. I'm like, okay, I'm actually just tired, and I need to rest, and like go for a walk, go play with my cat, go play with my kid. And I find that once I kind of reprogram my mind to look at it as like, oh, it's not a block, it's a sign that I need to rest and recharge. It really helped me be less hard on myself because I am really hard on myself. Yeah, so I think that reprogramming was necessary for me.
I really agree with that. I think something I need to learn for myself too is just to be kinder to myself.
Mhm.
I agree
Yeah.
about being kinder to yourself, like with deadlines. I personally, because I write a lot of stuff for magazines, and obviously the deadline there is not very movable. So if you don't meet it, that's pretty much it. But at the beginning, when I'm given the deadline, I'll like sit down and think about if I can meet it, because I sort of know how long it takes me to write something. And if I don't think I'll meet it, I'll either ask for more then, or I'll say I won't do it, because I don't want to put something out that I can't meet. So for me, it's sort of being a bit, fair to myself and not trying to uh, write something in a really short space of time that isn't going to be up to my standard personally.
Definitely helps with the perfectionism streak that I'm working on for myself also. Just to be kinder and to like also like assert myself and ask for more time, like Francis said. Like I know what I can do within a specific amount of time, and I just have to assert my needs. But I feel like that's not something that I was taught as a woman of color. It wasn't really something that I was taught, and I'm sure like as women even it's not something that we're taught to stand our ground and be like I actually need more time or pay me or I need to sleep.
Yeah. No, I think that's a huge point too, is like standing your ground and like being able to feel comfortable enough to be like these are what I need, or making demands and like saying, hey, like this deadline's a little unreasonable, or like, hey, I know me better and I know that this is how much time I need, kind of thing. Right? Anybody want to add to anything? We're good? All right, let's go on to the next one. So, well, we were talking about the fear of judgment and things like that earlier. So, have there been times where you question whether or not you should add a scene into a chapter or publish a piece of work? And then, do you have any advice for someone struggling to fully express themselves in their work and to overcome fears of judgment? It's kind of a heavy one. So whoever wants to take it off.
I think I already answered that with my points, but
yeah.
I'll let somebody else go.
I will point out to anyone who's really struggling with that first draft or that first version of your work, no one has to see the first version. Absolutely no one has to see it. You're under no obligation to show anyone that first version. So if you're struggling because you're worried about what other people might think or fear of judgment or anything like that, no one has to see that first version. And you can put it out there, or you can like create the thing in the way that you think that you initially came up with, and then look at it later and decide whether or not you want to then put it out there. Yeah, you're under no obligation to show anyone that first version. So if you're very, very worried about that initial judgment, I'm repeating myself.
No, it's totally fine. I think those are like great points, and the fact that like I do like the fact that it's like that's your vision. Like you can do whatever, and like that's where you get all your ideas out. You do what you want to do, right?
Yeah.
Do you guys ever tailor your pieces to more to something that you know that other people would like more, not necessarily something that's for you? Or do you stay like true to like I enjoy this and like take it or leave it kind of thing?
In the beginning, I definitely did a lot more to do things tailored to kind of more general audience, because I put out, or I self-published my first thing in 2013. I was much younger than I am now. I know I look so very young. But
a day over 20.
So I, at that point, I was writing a supernatural horror under a male pseudonym, because women don't write horror. And especially since I wasn't doing like romance or anything like that, I figured I'd do a lot better with like a male identity. And I've kind of gotten rid of all of that in more recent years. I'm doing, I've gotten much more comfortable writing things that that one interests me, and two, I think I would have really liked as a kid, as opposed to what a more general audience would probably be going for, or what it looks like, what current trends suggest the audience is going for.
You know, I will say that art is risk, you know?
Yeah.
In general, any kind of art is a risk. It's a huge risk because it's difficult to be yourself. You know, whether you are yourself in your art or just yourself in yourself, it's difficult to stand and be like, no, I think blah, 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 blah. Most people don't do that. A lot of people don't commit to art, and art, I think, demands a lot. As I mean, I see like all my fellow attendees shaking, like nodding their heads. It's like when you commit to something, it's a commitment. Like, you put a ring on it. Yeah. You know? Like, I often joke, and I've been with my partner for, I don't know, 12 years now. And I often joke that art is much harder than my relationship with my partner, and that relationship is hard. When I decided to self-publish Saltwater Spirits, it was a huge risk because nobody had ever written a book like this. And by that, I mean in its specific context, in its specific setting. I'll just give you like a quick, I don't want to keep talking, but just super quick, just a super quick like statistic, I guess, almost. I'm like one of 10 Singaporean authors. I'm originally from Singapore. I've lived here for 12 years, 13 years. But I'm one of 10 Singaporean authors of Indigenous Malay descent. I'm one of 3 women. I'm a parent, and I'm the only one who lives in diaspora, so someone who lives outside of Singapore. So just by that credit, anything I do is a risk, and like nobody has done this before. So yeah, I feel like for people who are struggling to, you know, struggling with fear of judgment, everyone deals with it. Everyone deals with it with different levels because, like I said in the beginning, art is a risk. But you gotta do it. Like the thing that you are afraid to do that thing. Like that's the thing that will push you to like heal yourself, heal your family, heal your community. I'm just gonna end there.
Okay. No, those are great points. And like it is a risk. I'm not married. I have no kids, not married. But so I don't know how hard I don't know if I can compare it to having a relationship, but I definitely do think it's commitment and risk. Like those are huge things. But I found like for me, a lot of it is just doing things that I enjoy and like that I feel proud of, and just putting it out there and be like, if you enjoy it, great, we can bond over that. If not, then like there's other content there too, like out there, right? So I'm just like, I think I had to let go of a lot of fears of trying to please everybody, because at times I can be a people pleaser and like wanting to please the audience and wanting to please the person here and there and doing this, and like at a certain point, like my content wasn't my content anymore. I was just doing things for other people. And so once I moved away from there and like started just doing things that I wanted to do and that I enjoyed, I found that I was a lot happier. And then second of all, I did a lot better and my content stayed my content.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. It's a really slippery slope when you start to write for other people, because I really think that you yourself, like your voice is the unique thing that you can bring. Anyone can write, but nobody can write like, you know, your story the way you would tell it. So once you start trying to please so many other people, it just becomes a big mess of all these different ideas, when really you're the unique product, really.
Yeah.
I love that.
How do you continue?
No, I was just gonna say I love that.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, go ahead.
for sure. How do you guys like organize like the ideas in your stories and organize your content that way then?
I like outlines.
Outline?
Too.
Love outlines.
Yeah.
I have heard. I am one of those people who I write fantasy, and I'm one of those people who does love world building. But if I let myself, I will get sucked into doing world building and nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of dangerous for me to like really go, super deep into that, but deeper than I need to. Like obviously you have to do a little bit of planning, and things like that. And I've seen people really recommend, especially if you're writing like a series in fantasy or even like a trilogy, which I'm planning to do a trilogy. Do like story Bibles, character Bibles, and that sort of thing. And I tried, but I was like, you know what? Like I need to just write the book. Like, jot down the information that I need somewhere. And I have Google Docs, and I love Google Docs. It's very disorganized, but there's a search feature, so if I need to find it pretty quick. But yeah, I like outlines for organizing.
Yeah, I will say as someone, sorry,
No.
I will say as someone who does do series, story Bibles are great in theory, but you will almost, at least I have almost never managed to maintain my series Bible at any point in time. So great in theory, fantastic if you can do it.
For people who aren't aware, does somebody want to explain what a story Bible is?
Sure, I'll go for it.
Okay.
So the story Bible is where you kind of keep a record of all of... Do you have one?
Oh,
yeah.
Rylan has a visual.
It's where
okay,
you kind of keep a record of everything that you kind of need to know about the story. So all of the characters, all of the side characters, how they've met, what everyone mine when for the like one book of 10 that I tried to keep it for, who knew what at what point in time, what all the settings were, what all of the what the basic plot outline of each of the books was, all of the kind of relevant information that you needed to maintain the maintain continuity throughout the series.
Okay. Yeah.
Just like
you can see where I gave up. So I have my cover on the front here.
Okay.
And then so I have like character profiles kind of for a few of my characters, and like I have put like generic information. This is just like a brief little summary, and then down at the bottom it was like that, so like color height sort of thing. Gave up very quick. It was like very tedious, and it just became like more tedious then.
For somebody
it was fun, but like I had to write the book.
Yeah.
For someone who likes organization, that was very aesthetically pleasing. Like it was very.
Right. I like it too, but again, I was like in and not actually write the damn book.
Yeah.
So
what I found out worked better for me was having that just basic generic notebook, and then this one doesn't have it because this project is not far enough along yet, but like it started getting tabs. I just like added color-coded tabs so that I could find whichever place where I left the note that I needed, that I knew I was going to come back to later. But I also work with, I do outlines and plots for stuff because my series tend to be more complicated than you'd expect them to be.
Okay. Anybody else? No? Okay.
Person, just in general. But when it comes to writing, like I mentioned earlier, I have my notes on my iPhone, and then I don't like when I start writing, I might never look at them, and so I just kind of am a pantser. I just kind of have a loose outline, like I kind of know where I'm going, and then I'm just like, okay, let's explore this today. So that's kind of what my process is. So how do I organize my ideas into a story? I don't. Just go.
Yeah. I think that they're all helpful. I feel like if it works for you, it works for you. Like I'm a big believer in like there's no like cookie cutter method of doing anything, organization, whatever it is. It's just one size does not fit all. But I think like all of those tips were pretty helpful. Anybody else want to add anything that they do specifically on to organize or like to get ideas, like, or even like throughout the week you're like, oh, I have all these ideas and like let me organize them so I know when to like put them out and do things, because I know Dina does a lot of projects and things. So do you have a way of like organizing your content that way?
Yeah, well, I guess first I just want to say it's just so interesting because I don't write books, so it's really cool to see what like how the writing process is. Like I think what you showed, Raylan, is super cool. I was like, whoa. Yeah, I think, and
I gave up long ago.
Yeah, like I think I'm just generally fascinated by how productivity works and how like people organize or like do time management. I'm a huge fan of like making plans and like to-do lists, but then I find that I always sometimes like I plan too much, and then the time planning I could have been spending on doing the actual thing. But yeah, I'm a huge like I love notebooks too, so I always write down to-do lists. I love like prioritizing, and I do like time blocking. But yeah, I think it's super cool just to learn what other people do, and maybe I can try some of your strategies too.
Oh, I can show, so for the Wonderland series I'm working on, for the last couple of books, I ended up doing something a little bit different that I'm probably going to do again, which is still up because I haven't bothered to take it down yet.
Okay.
But I don't know how this is going to go on a video call. But I created a nice, there's two perspectives, so each one note is a different plot point for that character, and I've got them on post-it notes just so I can like shuffle them around.
Wow.
But sometimes the story, the way you think it's going to go, you see it all actually laid out and you're like, this doesn't work. So I was doing that for the last half of the series, and my lighting's gone funny, so we're going to fix that.
I have a friend who outlines that way too. She like has a big poster board and she puts every scene that she wants to include on the different little note card, and she just moves them all around and shuffles them around and things.
Yeah.
So
I had to do that with my last book as well, because it was like a murder mystery and there's so many little like clues you've got to leave at particular points. So I put it all in an Excel document, so pretty much the same thing, but like all this stuff has to happen at some point. So I would keep referring back and thinking, can I put this one into this chapter, and moving them around, which kind of calmed me down, because I was like, okay, I know that these things are going to go in, so I've written them down. And it will all come together, hopefully.
Okay. Is that everything? Yes. Well, I feel like we had perfect timing because it's 11:44. I told I had till 11:45. So we're doing good on time. I just want to thank you guys so much for taking the time out to do this call with us. I know with COVID, we can't all meet up and like have the same conference we had last year, but I really did enjoy Zoom, and I feel like this is a lot less pressure, and I feel pretty good about myself. So no, but I really do appreciate all you guys taking the time out, and I know all of you are super busy, and yeah, and I think like the whole team really appreciates everybody signing up, and like we have so many authors who are amazing, and like conversations are great and panels are interesting, and this is literally everything that we've been planning to do, and it's turning out amazing, knock on wood. So yeah, so I just want to say thank you, and yeah, we really appreciate everything that you guys have done.
Hello, so sorry to quickly hop in. We have from Nicole Folkman. She loved this. She thanks you all very much.
Thank you.
And also from Alicia Gounder. Can you say something about an upcoming work?
Anybody else have anything? I have one.
Oh, I've got stuff, but you go first.
I've got this. So this is a KDP proof copy. Obviously will not have the watermark. It's currently up for pre-order. It is called Liars, Legends, and Lullabies. It is a weird blend of fiction and nonfiction, actually. So as I had been mentioned earlier, I am a composer as well. I compose kind of fantasy inspired instrumental music. So there's actually scores in here that I have of music that I've composed. There's links to listen along to the works, and there is excerpts of writing that I have paired with the work. So you read and you're meant to listen to the music as you're reading it, and if you're a visual person and you read music, you can follow the score. But yes, that is what it is.
Oh my goodness, that sounds amazing.
It releases August 18th, and it's available pretty much everywhere because I distributed with Ingram Spark. So yeah. Ingram Spark did its magic.
I can't wait to hold that in my hands.
Oh, thank you.
Tanya, I think you said you had a few.
Yeah. So book 9 of Looking Glass Saga is coming out on August 24th. It's called All Mad Here, but it's book 9 in the series, so I highly suggest starting out with book 1.
Mm-hmm.
And if
that's a cute cover.
Thanks. And also a quick shout out, if that's okay, to
go for it.
Yeah, so I'm also part of the Wildwood Collective, which is an art collective, and they're currently doing a charity auction for the Canadian Civil Liberties Association. So go look them up on Facebook, and you can pick up some of these books and a lot of other stuff over there.
Perfect.
I don't have any upcoming work. I'm planning to start the sequel to Saltwater Spirits within the same universe at some point, but if you like, I have ongoing work that's I'm a little bit hesitant to talk about, but if anybody enjoys the Marvel Cinematic Universe and wants to read fan fiction at any point, I upload regularly. So until I do that, I won't start the sequel, but I should be done that pretty soon. But I guess that's ongoing, upcoming work.
Mm-hmm.
I have a dark fantasy sort of anthology that we're doing, and if I could list off the names, that would be great.
Go for it.
Okay, so it's Ashley Dillsaver, K.E. Linskog, Aisling Wilder, Christine Matthews, Ine Gassel, me, and Alicia Gounder. So we are so excited to start this anthology, and hopefully it'll be out February, March 2021. So those are my deadlines that I need to meet.
Yeah.
But I'm so excited to start this and have it out soon-ish.
Frances,
I know many of those names. Those are some very, very talented writers.
I'm very glad with the group I have. They're all amazing.
Anybody else? No?
Well, okay, from me, so I just figured out how to do calligraphy workshops on Zoom.
Okay.
So if you're interested, you can just follow me on Instagram, Dina Calligraphy, and then you can get all the information there.
Perfect.
I was really into calligraphy for a time.
Yeah.
I should get back in.
Well, if you guys are all autographing your new books, maybe you should learn calligraphy, and then you can like write people's names really nicely.
I love the saleswoman. Like, she's literally, oh my gosh, I'm ready to sign up. I don't write novels, but I'm ready to autograph things. Frances, do you want to add anything? Do you have any upcoming works?
Nothing that's like a release date, 'cause at the moment I'm still deep in edits on my latest book, which is sort of a fantasy inspired by French Revolution, murder mystery, sort of military academy, but watch this space on that one. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm in editing at the moment, so.
Okay. All right, is that everything? Yes, I think so. So I think we're gonna be wrapping up right here, unless Sukhmani wants to add anything.
I was shaking my head. No, it's
okay. No, okay. Alrighty. So once again, thank you everybody. And hopefully 2021 we do this one more time. Okay? It's all about Sukhmani. I don't know what's happening 2021, but I'm already making plans for it.
Thank you.
I just want to say it's so nice to meet everyone. I know a couple of people from beta reading or I commissioned Raylin. So it's really nice to see everyone. And It's very nice to have talked to everyone today.
Yeah.
All right.
Likewise.
Everybody a round of applause. Okay. Alrighty. Well, I think we can all sign off, and the next panel should be starting very soon. Okay. Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.